G'day everybody, Patrick here, and in this video I'm going to be trying out Azure for the first time. So, if anyone who follows this channel would know that I'm a big AWS fanboy and I've worked with AWS for a couple of years and really like the services that it provides and the things you can do with it, but I've never tried Azure. So I'm really interested to see how this second ranking cloud provider stacks up. I've looked a little bit into the documentation and listened to some videos talking about how they compare and so on. So I've got some expectations going in, but I haven't really worked with the console before. So pretty much my only experience up to this point with Azure was when I was working with the previous coworker sort of in the AWS space who said, Azure is the best way to get a blue screen of death on the cloud. And obviously that's not necessarily the truth. You can't sort of just take the worst aspects of Microsoft and its stack and assume that that's how Azure is going to be as a whole. I've got really excited about some of the VS Code integration, so I want to try some of that out. And just really keen to get started. So if you're into AWS, maybe if you're into Azure and you want to see someone who's a complete noob at it, but sort of knows how the cloud is all put together, try it out, then this is a video for you. So pretty keen to get into it and let's get started. All right, so as with all good things, I think we should start by creating an account. Let's go Azure sign up. Click the ad. Let's click the ad and just cost them a few cents. Why not? Start for free. Let's go azure@gmail.com. Oh, we've got to create a Microsoft account. Okay, you can't just use a regular email. All right, that's good. I'm gonna delete this account after, so don't try and log in on my behalf. All right, verifying my email. Oh no, I forgot to untick the we can spam me box. Oh well, I'm gonna get some Microsoft spam. That's what the spam email is for. And I'm not a robot. And we are signed up. Oh no, we're not. Okay, just like AWS, you got the double health bar sign up form. Yeah, text me. Unpopular opinion, but I actually like that the spinners and the squares and stuff. I don't mind that design. Verify. Oh yeah, same thing as AWS, making a temporary charge. Job title, developer. Intended use. Build. Let's go other. We want to do a bit of everything. Satisfied with the sign up? Yeah, not too bad. I like that they ask for feedback. Then we're about to go into our account by the looks of things. Now, if this is anything like AWS, there's a whole bunch of security stuff that I should probably be doing right now, but I don't know what it is because I don't know where to begin. Like, will they have anything get started? No, they just want you to, Okay, I don't want to set up for an organization. But $280 a credit. Hell yeah. So I can probably do a lot of stuff right now. All right, we've got notifications, settings. Oh, we can play around with the theme. Let's make a dark theme. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Docked. Yeah, looks good. All right, no, I don't like the dark right now. Let's go, yeah. All right, so let's explore these services. First thing I can see is there's not the absolute swathe of services that AWS has. And that's a good thing, right? I can look here and I can count them. That's amazing. So let's go all services and see. Maybe these are just the most common ones. Okay, yeah, it's quite a bit of stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's no shortage of things you can do here. Okay, we got NAT gateways, public IPs. I imagine that's like elastic IPs probably. Yeah. Managed separately, and then firewalls. Firewall manager is the same service as AWS. Load balancers. All right. Storage. What do we got? I think a good place to start here is probably to create whatever the equivalent of an S3 bucket is and just put some files in it and see how that goes. So let's go, what would that be? S3 but Azure. Azure Blob, all right. Where's Blob storage? I search Blob storage. Don't make this hard for me. Azure Blob storage on IoT. Do I have to, maybe I have to make a storage account? What is this? Okay. Oh, okay. So I think, yeah, this is S3 equivalent by the looks of it. I'm gonna go create storage account. It's funny you have to do that. Oh, and you choose a subscription. Okay, that's new. And one thing I did hear about Azure is that resource groups are mandatory. So you're gonna have to create a resource group. I'm just gonna call it the everything resource group, everything RG. Try and put everything in it. Location, all right. Now, other thing I heard about Azure is there's actually a Melbourne region, I think. Maybe I was lied to. Is there Australia? Australia Central. Hang on, let's look it up. There's an AWS video where they have a crack at Azure for not keeping their data centers separate enough. So I'm not sure if regions are really regions in the AWS sense. Maybe they're more like availability zones, but we'll see how it is. So they do have their own availability zones thing. They seem to have a lot of similar terms to AWS. Who's copying who, I don't know. I imagine it probably flows more that Azure's copying AWS because they're the incumbent, but we'll see. Australia Central's Canberra, is it? That's kind of funny. Like look at that map, right? That's central. Don't worry about actual central. To be fair, I mean about 200,000 people live there and about 15 million people live on this side, so kind of does make sense, but it's not really central. So I would choose the Victoria region, right? It's weird that they've said Canberra here and then Victoria. Like Victoria's a state, Canberra's a city, but whatever. So that'll be Australia Southeast, but that's not an option. I can do Australia. Oh no, it is. But it's not recommended. Okay. Right. So some of the services are unavailable in all of them. I think that's another point of difference between AWS then. So AWS really tries to make all the services, or at least most of the services, available in each region. And they sort of consider it like a problem if you can't do something in one of the regions. So maybe Azure's a bit more lax on that. I think I'll go with Australia East then. I've had no problems with using the Sydney region on AWS, so we'll stick with that. Kind of did think it was going to be cool though to get like a 5 millisecond ping time to the Melbourne server though. Storage account name. This is something I've noticed with AWS as well, is they make it hard to do stuff. If you don't know, like to get set up, it's tricky. Like I'm kind of finding this hoops to jump through. What do I even want to call this storage account? Let's just call it storage everything or every. Oh, I can't do capitals. All right. So everything storage account. Sure. Australia East, performance, standard or premium. I have to choose that at the account level. Magnetic drives versus, what does it say? That's interesting. So standard is backed by magnetic and then premium is backed by solid state. Oh, are you serious? I can't even do hyphens? That makes it really hard to read. I can't do capitals, I can't do hyphens. Okay, performance, let's just go standard. Storage V2, sure. Or blob, right? We want blob. Okay, and then we go locally redundant, geo-redundant, or read access. So what's the difference then? So is the default here, this is seeming like the default is kind of the cheaper version, right? Maybe this is part of their marketing, is that it's cheaper. 3 times in a single physical location, as in a single availability zone. That's like one zone, right? It's equivalent to like one zone IA. Zone redundant storage, 3 yeah, okay. So this would be the default, this would be S3 standard. So let's go with that. Let's go with, hang on. Zone redundant's not even an option. Okay, 11 nines of durability is the same. Oh, okay, it is the same. And we get 12 nines from zone redundant. Interesting. Cool or hot? There's like too many options, to be honest. I'm like, I haven't had to choose that before. Cool or hot? Let's go hot. Let's keep most of the things as defaults. Public endpoint, selected networks. Oh, okay. You have to private endpoint. Okay, so you can do like VPC endpoint sort of equivalents. Microsoft network routing. Sure, let's just leave that be. Point in time restore, soft delete, versioning, secure transfer required. Okay, I like that. I like that this is simple because in AWS, if you want to force SSL, you have to do it via policy. Allow blob public access. Ooh, they've enabled that by default. Okay, TLS. Okay, let's go 1.2. So you can do this. That's strange. All right, we've reviewed, we've created. We're going to see how this goes. That took longer than expected, but it's also going to be quicker next time. A lot of these things that you do at the bucket level in AWS are done at the storage account level in Azure. Oh, I've got a little notification. I kind of like that. Nice touch there. Okay, deployments in progress. Can we see all our resources? This is something I'd like, is sort of being able to keep the inventory. Be nice. Something else I thought was cool was Azure DevOps. Apparently, so there's a couple of really cool things I like in Azure DevOps that I'd like to try. Number one is Visual Studio Online, I think they call it, which allows you to sort of sync your development environment and actually run it on a VM, and then you can connect to it from VS Code or whatever you like. I think that's really cool. And another one that's cool, they actually have their own sort of Kanban board or Scrum board that you can use within Azure DevOps. So it's like Microsoft version of Jira or Trello. So it's a nice touch as well. So maybe we should create a DevOps starter just while my other stuff's going. How's that notification? Oh, it's done. Let's go back to that. Hang on. I can't right click and open a new tab. Are you serious? I can right click that, but I can't right click this button. It's a -1 in my book there. So it's all like, So now the question is, how do I make, this bucket? How do I make it? I feel like I was very confident that it was going to be like this, but now I can't seem to find. Open in Explorer. Okay, so this like opens in a desktop application. Do they not have a web version? Do I have to download this? Okay, I guess I'll download it. This feels very different to S3. I think some things are similar, but this feels very different. And I'm not trying to complain because I don't really know that much about it. If I try and do everything the AWS way, that obviously I'm going to run into issues because they are different. I'm just a little surprised so far at what's going on. So, right. So this is like this is sort of like the bucket settings, right? So you can go get started. New blob, new. Nice. So I like this. What I do like about Azure is they've got all these demos kind of built in to the system. I was thinking that would be a cool thing if AWS had that. New video. Okay, so they've got cognitive services is like their managed AI platform. So it's equivalent to, well, we don't really have a name for it in AWS. It's kind of like you've got recognition, text extract, poly, translate, Lex, and all of those. So that comes under the cognitive services name in Azure. All right, so I am now on Azure Storage Explorer and I have to sign my life away. Looks good. Connect, okay, Azure. And they've got, okay, Azure China, so that's segregated kind of like how with AWS, China segregated. US government's like GovCloud. Add new, what? Can you make your own regions? That'd be cool. Germany though, that one's confusing me. Free country, why do they need a separate thing? Let's look it up. All right, privacy regulations. Cool. Why Germany? That's my question, but pretty nice, pretty nice. Probably not relevant to most people unless you're in Germany. Azure and a resource by direct. Yeah, should be fine. So now we've got to authenticate. All right, go apply. Let's go upload. No, this is definitely. I think I've done something wrong. So I think the disks bit maybe, and I could be completely wrong here. So if you're an Azure aficionado, just let me know and don't get mad. I think that this is kind of like a storage gateway. So you can upload a disk that you want to use and it'll connect it up to the blob storage. That's not what we want though. We just want to open up the storage account. Can we do that? Just want to open up the storage account to the blob container maybe. Free trial, blob container, create a blob container. Oh, so a blob container is like a bucket. Why is no one telling me this stuff? Well, now you guys know a blob container is like a bucket. And we can call this, and I think this one doesn't need to be globally unique. Let's test by calling it, what's the common one? I was gonna say the, but like who names a bucket the? Like, what would be a really common S3 bucket? It's like my bucket, but then this isn't called a bucket. We just test by calling it storage, right? Like someone's gonna have to call theirs storage if it's globally unique. So cool, so it's not, that's kind of a plus. I find the globally unique thing with S3 buckets a bit annoying. And then, so for the URL, it's, yeah, so it's by account. I like that. Now we're gonna go, let's create a new folder, my fantastic folder, and we're gonna, do you have to refresh it or something? Okay, I'm in the folder. Kind of like this design. It's not very Windowsy. I thought Azure would be all about that Windows. Let's go upload files. Here's a picture of a meadow. Page append block. I don't really know what this is, but I think it might have something to do with, like file systems. So default hot, cool. Okay, you can specify. So hot is like frequent access and cool is like not. And I've put some spaces in this name just to see how it handles those. Let's go upload, should be pretty quick. We can copy the command and see what it looks like. Just as bad as the AWS ones. So we've got this, and then can I go like copy URL? It looks like AWS, not found. Is it because of the space? Do I have to go %20s? And if it didn't format that itself, does not exist. Okay. Let's go out of this folder and do one without. We're gonna go upload files. This dude, that's a bit of a bigger one, I think. So we're gonna need to make it public. So we're gonna need to change the settings on that. It might take a little while to upload as well. There you go. It's got space in it as well. Copy URL, properties. So do they have like a bucket policy equivalent? Metadata. Can I go properties here? Blob public access is off. Can I turn it on? Let's work it out. They say you recommend you disallow public access, but then they allow it by default. I can't click off here. Blob, not blog storage, blob storage. All right, this might be it. So maybe I need to do it from here, from a storage account. Security, maybe. I don't want to upgrade. Security center, okay. I feel like I'm just floating around now. I don't know what's going on. Properties. All right, so I discovered this is unrelated to what I was trying to find, but I found this. We got soft delete, which is like versioning, I suppose. You've also got versioning here, so it's sort of linked together. And then blob change feed, so you could do that with CloudTrail data events would be the AWS equivalent. But I can't find configuration. Yes, I found it. Allow public, no, this is, okay, container ACLs. So we need to use the container ACL. How do we do that? So I don't want to really use the command line for this if I don't need to. Like, why can't I just use this? Should be able to do it. So can I edit? Did it say something about an ACL? No, it's a URL. Manage access policies. I think we're there. Container access policies add. Okay, ID. Yeah, sure. Read. Okay. What does that do? It's not going to be public accessible now, surely. Blob public access is off. Ooh, I think I found it. Set public access level for container and for blob. Let's go blobs only, and then we can go copy URL, and this should be publicly accessible. Yeah, it worked. Okay, that was the image. So, strange. All right, I don't mind this. It's different, but I don't think it's worse. It's just something I need to get used to. That's enough for blob storage. Let's do the next thing. We're going to set up a DevOps pipeline. So explore AWS DevOps bit. So let's go, what have I done? DevOps starter. Let's create a DevOps starter. What should we do it with? Okay, so you can do C, Python. There's something else I know about the Lambda equivalents, so Azure Functions. You can only do .NET, Python, JavaScript, and Java. So you're missing out on Ruby and Go, which you can do in AWS, which is a bit sad. But this is not functions, this is DevOps. So let's just keep it simple. One I'm most familiar with would be Node with Express. So let's do that. Bring your own code, okay. Let's add a Cosmos DB as well. So this is the DynamoDB equivalent. Looks good. Express, yeah, let's do it. I don't want a Windows web app. What are you on about? Compute on Windows. Why would I want to run Windows on it? It's like you've got Linux plus the extra license fee. Like from a service standpoint, unless you had a reason that you wanted to do Windows, like if you're an enterprise that has been using Windows for decades, right? But I feel like, I know Windows is a lot cheaper to run on Azure, but that being said, Linux by definition, it's going to be free, right? So fully managed compute on Linux, containers versus, let's go containers, right? So I imagine this is like ECS sort of thing, whereas Kubernetes is its whole other beast, and that's non-specific to Azure or AWS or any of the clouds, except maybe GCP is very integrated with it. Web app for containers is going to be the most Azure specific one, except from maybe it's like when in Rome do as the when in Windows do as the Windows do. But let's go web app for containers, see how they do it. Project name, let's call it test DevOps. You need to make an organization. Okay, because of this, right? And it's going to be unique. Spicy DevOps. That's probably taken. Like, let's be real. Someone else. Oh, no. Azure devs aren't that creative. That's, what can I say? This one's, of course, that's taken. Extra spicy. Yeah, cool. So why would it default to that? Like, I was already using, I've got a lot of options for this, but let's go Australia East. Just keep it consistent. S1 standard, so that's 1 core, 1.75 gig. Yeah, I can deal with that. We'll go done. Let's see what it comes up with for us. Man, these flies are spastic. Got it. That's gross. The things that you do while your code builds. All right, looks like it's done. So let's see what it actually did. Oh no, this is happening. Okay. Yeah. So what's the equivalent of CloudFormation? That's actually another good question. CloudFormation equivalent Azure. I think they want you to use PowerShell, right? Bruh. Why so many moths? Azure resource templates. Let's check that out. Yeah, that's probably it. Let's go to resource. Okay, so it made us a CI/CD pipeline. That's good. It's a good start. We've got a Git repository. We've got a build step. Let's open that up and see what that looks like. And we've got some deployment as well to the dev environment. Agile backlogs. I want to see what they've done there, because this is one thing AWS doesn't have. Is we have Jira integration with CodeStar, but there's no This actually looks all right. I can get down with this. I can imagine a lot of companies using this if they're already on the Microsoft stack. It's like, why not? Pipelines, test plans, cool. Let's go boards. It's going to be empty, right? Because we haven't done anything. This looks like Jira. You notice how there's no integration with Atlassian here. There's Slack, there's Teams. They're big on Teams. They're trying to replace Slack, and they're also trying to replace Jira. Going to own the whole dev stack. Well, looks alright. Let's create an item. Alright, not too bad. I mean, it could do with some work. It's like Jira's a bit nicer, but I never thought I'd say that. Jira's nicer than what? This. Yeah. If you ever use GitLab issue tracker, this makes anything look good. So it's not too bad. Alright, we need a few more details. What for? What did I even click here? I don't remember. I don't want to hear about that. Let's go, continue. Okay. Oh, we're back to where we were before. Releases. So this is all in one spot. I like that. I like that it's all kind of together. Pipelines, can we see runs? Did it run? First commit, and it worked. Okay, build. It's like pretty standard CI/CD kind of situation here. It's got unit tests, it's archiving those tests. Not too bad. Environments, we haven't got any. Releases, library, variable groups. Okay, so this is like environment variables, secure files. So that is one thing that AWS is just kind of missing. Task groups. On the whole, I like this DevOps situation here, and I would definitely try it in future. And I would definitely, if I was at a company where they said, hey, we're using Azure DevOps, I'd be on board with that at the least. We've tested that out. Do we see where it was actually running? Container instances, Kubernetes, logic apps. Is this like step functions? Yeah. Or across organization, maybe it's not. They always say this, $1 billion annually on cybersecurity research. Security experts. You know, if they had 8,500 services like AWS, then that's one expert per service. Let's have a look at the SQL database. This is like RDS. And we'll go create a SQL database. It's lagging on me. Free trial, resource group. Let's go. So we can reuse, we made, it automatically made this resource group into the database name, SpicyDB. If I was gonna make a database engine, you'd know what it'd be called. Server, I gotta, wait, the server's separate from the database. This is meant to be a managed service though, right? Let's call the server, what? Okay, I'm gonna call it Hoisin. Server admin login, it's gonna be Windows server, isn't it? Well, it's gonna be administrator. And then the password, it can't be. Server admin is gonna be PB and password, cool. And we'll go East, Australia, East. Okay, nice. Elastic pool, it shares resources between them. No, let's not use that for the moment. Public, okay. Let's go public endpoint, keep it simple. I like this allowing the current client IP in their firewall. You could just make it open to the world, that's another option, but that's a nice touch. It's a nice touch, but I don't have a static IP, so it's gonna stop working soon. Use existing data, sample. Okay, database, collation, defender, 20 a month. I'm good. Review, cool. Let's create and see how it looks. Something else I wanted to check out was the cognitive. No, I don't want to search that. I want to search this. Cognitive services. I can't control, are you kidding me? I control clicked and it just didn't even open in a new tab. Right, I'm gonna pause this for now. All right, welcome back. It was getting late, so I decided to film the next day. New shirt, new me. So let's have a look at getting whatever the equivalent of an EC2 instance is up and running. So if we go to app services, maybe that might be where we wanna look. Okay, so that looks sort of like it's on the right track, but it's sort of building, maybe it's like Elastic Beanstalk sort of thing. Let's look it up. Azure EC2 equivalent. Virtual machines, yeah, okay, that would make sense. Is that a thing we can do? So I'm imagining this will be pretty much the same as AWS. New browser. Let's do it. All right, new version. Looks no different to me. Let's go add new one, free trial. Let's put it in the everything resource group. Virtual machine name. You gotta name it, that's new. So could I put this one in Southeast? It could, but I'm just gonna go east. Machine name, let's call it Spicy VM. Infrastructure redundancy. Oh, I like that that's kind of a built-in option. Availability set, is that kind of like a placement group maybe? Ubuntu server, Windows server. I was surprised for a second not seeing Amazon Linux, but no, that would make perfect sense. Oracle has its own Linux, so I didn't know that. Yeah, Debian, CentOS, Red Hat. Let's go Ubuntu 18. Azure Spot instance. Okay, so they got Spot. If we go yes, does it, you can put the max price. And oh, it's got the hardware costs as well. That makes sense, I guess. But is that, what's that, electricity or like depreciation that they've calculated? Because I don't think AWS has that. Let's not do Spot. Let's pick this one, standard. It's got 8 gig memory, okay. And I like that they tell you per month. I like that. It can be often difficult calculating that with AWS. Can we go select size and go micro or whatever the smallest one is? Oh, they've got, this is just as confusing as AWS, but they're all different. All right, entry level is like A. So maybe that's the one we want. Let's go T2 micro Azure equivalent. I'm searching up a lot of equivalents here, but B1S, B1 general purpose, 1 gig RAM, okay. 13 a month. This one's 6 a month because it's tiny. B1LS, let's pick that. Super cheap. It's not gonna be good, but it'll be cheap. And you can do with a password, okay, sure. Or we can go SSH public key, Azure user, generate a new key pair, name the key, spicy key, and select his ports. Okay, so you can, they have, I'm sure they have like a firewall system like the security group, so you can customize all this, I'd imagine. Public inbound ports, allow, yeah, let's allow SSH. Select disks, standard versus premium. Okay, I'm sure there's plenty we could read about there. That's good. There's no option to actually disable encryption there. Advanced networking. It's going to create a new network for us. Imagine this is a VPC. I wonder as well, so virtual network. Something I was interested here is what's the VPC equivalent like, and does it sort of have all the same things? So if we go create a virtual network, yeah, okay, so you choose the CIDR. You can do a V6 as well. Bash. Ooh, they have a Bastion as a service. I like that. I like Bastion as a service. Good idea. AWS, got a thing or two to learn there. DDoS protection. Okay, so it's equivalent to Shield Advanced. And then a firewall. Tags, review and create. Let's go with all the defaults. Assume that they work. Oh, let's got to do some validation. Back to the VM. Accelerated networking. We have to create, we have to already choose a load balancer, right? We don't have any currently. But yeah, load balancing, it's kind of going to be the same the world over, I imagine. Back to this one. Let's go create. Man, I'm going to get so much charges. I noticed I've spent, okay, it's like 13 Australian dollars in one day so far, just experimenting. I don't even know what I spent it on. I haven't checked. Deployment in progress. Ah, okay. So their wizard has used the equivalent of a CloudFormation template. You can download the deployment details. Okay, so it's still going. Oh, no, there we go. We're done. Now I want to see what we can do here. So you can do peerings. Can we, for example, create, like, can we edit the route table? Let's look at the address space, connected devices. So is this like IoT maybe? Or VPNs? Subnets? Okay, we've still got subnets. Gateway subnet. Ah, so these are separated. This is like public and private. Or no, this is, sorry, one within that gateway. Route table, okay, so service endpoints. This is very similar. It's like it's a different interface, but it's doing the same stuff. I saw something about a really big government contract in the US that Azure got chosen, and Amazon understandably got pretty annoyed about that. But I think the verdict was kind of that they could both do the same thing. Like for most use cases, you're not going to need one or the other. You can use either. Really comes down to what people are familiar with and the existing infrastructure. So AWS has been around a bit longer, so people are more likely to already be using it. Often the switching costs are not worth the switch, although you can potentially save a bit of money by using multi-cloud. It just gets more complex. And then plenty of companies are already deep into the Microsoft stack, and that's when Azure is going to be the most useful for them. So that's I think that's how Microsoft is trying to push for Azure. Google doesn't seem to have the same weight to throw around there because they're not as much in the enterprise space. So I think they've sort of relied on Kubernetes a bit because they are one of the primary contributors to Kubernetes and it originated at Google. So they're trying to sort of have first class support for that. Yeah, it's kind of interesting watching these cloud wars unfold. Oh, I'm just clicking around at this point. What am I doing? Resource locks. Okay. Subnets. Yeah, we've already been there. Access control. View my access. View my level of access. I like that. Makes it easy. Makes it easy. Check the access of a particular... I really like this. This is the sort of thing you rely on external tools with for AWS. View access to the resource. Download role. Roles. Okay. Classic administrators. Not sure what that is, but all right. DNS servers. So you can have custom DNS. Let's go back to this virtual machine because this one's ready now. Okay, so that's like under $1 an hour. Let's go create and try and log in. Download the private key and create the resource. Yep. Let's go save. And then I'm going to have to go to my terminal. And yeah, so now we want to go chmod spicy key.pem. Hang on, we want to chmod 400 it. And then we want to go sh-I spicy key. And what do we want to do? Still being deployed, so it's not necessarily going to be accessible. It's going to output something. I like how they're using their deployment system, CloudFormation equivalent, to launch things. It makes it really transparent to the user of how that's working. Let's go operation details. Maybe it's going to show us the IP. All right, so I can go to resource now, and then I can just use the public IP. Copy. Yeah. Is that the same icon they have on AWS? I think it's pretty much the same icon. And so it'll be Azure user at, maybe they have a DNS name, so maybe I'll do this wrong, but it looks like it's gonna work. Hey, we're on. And then we can just do stuff. Ta-da, that's what computation is all about. Cool, I don't really have anything I want to do with this VM. I just want to launch it, see what it was like. So, cool. What's next? Let's write the most basic Lambda function we can come up with. And apologies for any Azure devs here because I keep saying the AWS names for things. I'm just using what I'm familiar with. So it's a function app. All right. Free trial. Again, select the resource group. It's putting everything in one resource group. Isn't that great? Function app. It's going to be hello world. Hello world's kind of boring, This is spicy world. Spicy world. Code or you can what? Docker container? A function app with a So this is considered a Lambda anti-pattern, right? I want to look this up. Is this their Fargate version? Or no, it's just layers sort of thing. Then you can have your custom code runtimes. Maybe. Still not completely sure, to be honest. But kind of cool. Let's go code. Runtime. I noticed they don't have as many options. I'm going to go... To be honest, I've never worked with .NET. I kind of want to, but I don't know enough to not screw this up terribly. Let's go Node, my most familiar. 12 or 10 is the only option, so we can't do 14 and we can't do 8. Oh, you can't do 8 on AWS either. 12 and 10, okay. And then we go Australia East. Hosting, okay, we get to choose this. Windows, huh? Why does it matter? Based on the runtime stack, it recommends Windows. That's weird. I mean, if I was going to do .NET or PowerShell, then yeah, I get it, but do we really need the overhead of a Windows computer? Storage account. Okay, sure, it's going to create that. Serverless premium app service plan. Okay. Monitoring. So I imagine this is like CloudWatch logs sort of thing. Is it called Insights? Application Insights. No? Okay, I'm going to say CloudWatch logs equivalent Azure Monitor. Yeah. I remember this one. It was being discussed in terms of Azure having names that made sense. Whereas AWS has inferentia. What does that mean? So yeah, that's good. Monitor for monitoring things. It's a good start. Activity log. So is this looks like CloudTrail. So CloudTrail and CloudWatch sort of in the same place. Register subscription. Yeah, so this is CloudTrail. And then we go alerts. Yeah, so you could create billing alerts. Logs is probably what I want. It started. Sure. There's a lot here, and obviously I can't cover anywhere near all of it. Go review and create. Okay, create. Now I'm going to need to write some code, aren't I? I hope they have a default that works. Otherwise I'm going to be very lost. This should be a quick deployment, right? They don't have Fargate though. I think Fargate was open source, but I doubt that Azure's going to have adopted it. Sorry, Firecracker is what I meant. So Firecracker's AWS's system for micro VMs that can launch in sub 100 milliseconds. So basically you can use that when you're deploying containers. But I don't imagine they've got that themselves, but they probably have something similar, I hope. Otherwise, the whole serverless idea is not going to work out too well for them. You're going to have, multiple seconds of waiting for the invocation. Go to resource. One thing I've heard about Azure Functions is you can see a lot more info about the actual underlying instance, which I think is cool. But one of the whole points of serverless is that you don't have to worry about that. Functions. So we're in a functions app right now, so we can make multiple functions. I can't go add? Oh, it's only supported on Windows? That's weird. All right, I'm gonna go develop locally. I have to set this up. VS Code. So it's an npm package. Copy that. All right, let's do this. Let's get it going. All right. Azure Functions. Can we install this from the store? Oh, there you go. So you do that. Cool. Let's get into it. Huh? What's wrong? Let me try one more time, but don't expect too much from it. It's not good. Oh well, hopefully the extension will do everything we need it to. So we need to go, okay, so we're gonna have a functions tab here. Maybe we need to restart. Oh, it's underneath the bit that I hid. We've got an Azure section. How do we get to that? I actually forgot. We gotta go view activity. Oh, how much stuff have I installed? I didn't even know that. Okay, see, I normally hide this bar. It does look kind of cool. It's like its own dock almost. What's the shortcut? Azure's A. That's nice and simple. I don't like that these ones like Kubernetes and stuff don't have their own shortcuts. So let's go view and we're gonna hide the activity bar. So this is A and so we can go E, A, X, F, etc. So it's loading. We have to sign into Azure. All right, so we can go create new project. This is going to contain the project. Okay, it allows TypeScript, so let's go TypeScript. And there's some defaults. SendGrid is a default. Cool. Cosmos DB trigger, so is that like DynamoDB streams maybe? Timer trigger. HTTP trigger is going to be good. Let's call it that. Function. I think, look, the dev tools for this are good. So far. I like the file explorer that we were using before, and this is nice, and it comes with this. Okay, Azure Function. So I'm gonna have to install this or not, or is it gonna handle it for us? Const DB trigger, process request. This looks so similar to Lambda. Okay, so we've got context and request instead of event and context with context and request. So then how do we go deploy? We just click the deploy button. Hang on. Overwrite the previous deployment. So it's sort of got its own serverless framework or like SAM sort of built in, which I think that's cool. Defaults to 200, bodies. This is so similar. Context response. Okay, so they're kind of basing this off Express by the looks. It's kind of inspired by Express and also Lambda and really a variety of things, but it's got its own flavor. Check the output window. All right, it's getting there. Okay, it's done all this for us. So is this done? I can't tell if it's done. Uploading, deployment successful. So I guess maybe it's successful. Copy function URL, and we can invoke. Oh, this is local. So we're gonna need to run it locally. Let's go execute now. Okay, so we need to go to the debugger, run, start debugging. And so now we can do it. And then we need to install this thing that wasn't installing for me. That's a shame, but looks cool. And on the whole, I think this is what's good about this is with Lambda, it's really easy to get lost if you're not using a framework around it. So if you're not using AWS SAM, if you're not using CDK, if you're not using serverless framework, then you don't really have any direction because it's all very custom. So this is good because it sort of holds your hand a bit and it gives you a bit of guidance, which is nice when you start. So I like this. Am I going to become an Azure dev? We'll see. Let's just play around with a couple more things. Maybe Cosmos DB. I want to see what that's like. Can I create one? I had one for the test DevOps. Can I edit this like how you can on AWS? You can edit, you can add things to DynamoDB, remove things, edit rows and so on. Can we do that here? got the activity log, but collection. So a collection is like a table then, and throughput is read units. MongoDB, is it MongoDB compatible? So maybe this is more, that's strange. That's really weird. Because we have DocumentDB with AWS, which is designed for MongoDB compatibility, but this is, I don't know what I think about that. Then we got Azure AD. All right, we'll leave that then, because we're gonna need to set up MongoDB if we wanted to do all that. And I can see all my resources I created, which is good. Got my hoist in source SQL Server. What else? Load balancers. Strange that this is its own thing, but I guess you can load balance a whole variety of different things here. Do they have a CloudFront equivalent? Maybe that's something they're missing. No, they have Azure CDN. Okay, let's search that up. CDN profiles. Maybe it's that. Front doors. Okay. Create CDN profile. One thing I don't like here is the lag. It's a bit annoying. Like I joke about being in Australia with terrible internet, and my internet's not fantastic, but I'm getting more lag on the Azure. It's like front end lag. It's not actually network. Let's go name, resource group, pricing tier. Okay, so you can use Akamai. So that's the one that Facebook uses. Or you can use Microsoft, Verizon, and Premium Verizon. I want to know about this. Token authentication. Oh, what just happened? CDN profiles. Create a CDN profile. So it costs twice as much. These all cost the same though. And Microsoft's trying to say there's better S3, S3.1, S2, P1. So they're trying to get you to do this, right? Unless you're in Premium, then you go to Verizon. And for some reason they allow Akamai as well and standard Verizon. Righto. Oh, that's ugly. Who came up with that? Never seen that one before. All right, create a profile and let's go standard Microsoft. Name, spicy CDN. You know it. Resource group, extra spicy. Pricing tier, Microsoft. This could get pricey as well. That's why I got my 280 credit. I think you have to use that in 30 days. So that's not good. I have to, okay, so maybe I can't do it free. What? They're stopping me from doing some of this stuff I want to do. Let's go back to the load balancer. Create load balancer, free trial. Instance name, spicy, LB, Australia East. Yep, so you can have like private and public, that's good. SKU, basic or standard? It seems to me like normally you'd have basic or premium, or you'd have standard or premium, but here they've got basic or standard. They seem the same to me. Standard is better than basic. Well, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Basic is like only the basics. Choose a public IP address, creating, okay, so we have to, yeah, well, this would make sense. We've got to make kind of like a static IP for this. Do we have any existing ones? I don't think we do. Can't associate this because it's a VM IP. Makes sense. Let's create a new one. Name, spicy IP. I don't know if I like or dislike that they make you name everything manually. Like sometimes I just want a crappy auto-generated ID and then I don't have to worry about naming it because I've just been naming everything spicy. But what if I didn't have that level of sheer inspiration? Dynamic or static? Okay, so maybe dynamic's cheaper. Doesn't actually have an info box next to this, so I can't tell. Add a public address, an IPv6 address, go no. Tags, same as AWS. Review and create. Now I gotta say, Microsoft, I'm being tough on your UI because it was lagging a bit, but I think it's cleaner and more modern looking than the AWS console. They have been getting their act together a bit with things like the new EC2 console, which I think is better. The new Route 53 console is horrible from a usability standpoint, but some of the new consoles are looking better, at least. This looks a bit more modern, so that's a good thing. Go to resource, IP config, and then I can connect it. Okay, backend pools seems like what it's. So could I add? No? Why can't I? I'm gonna go spicy pool. I want to try and add the one that had the VM in it. Maybe. Okay, so a scale set's like an auto scaling group. As with a lot of things that I'm facing here, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to just do something else. Advisor score, so it's like trusted advisor. So yeah, on the whole, I mean, there's so much overlap, right? Honestly, most of the things you can do on AWS, you can do on Azure at this point, and you can do some things on Azure that you can't do on AWS. One more thing I would like to do is the managed, so the cognitive services. I want to play around with the equivalent of recognition and things like that. So We got created cognitive services. Oh, yeah, I got to this marketplace before, right? But that's not what I wanted. Machine learning. There's a studio. This could be the SageMaker equivalent. Machine learning studio. So it's not this, maybe. Why not? Free trial, once again, resource group. Workspace name, spicy workspace, central US. It defaults to this and that annoys me. Next is networking, public endpoint. Validation passed, I'd hope, because it didn't do anything. All right, back to this deployment screen that we find ourselves on fairly often. This one's taking a while. Guess it's got a fair bit that it needs to deploy, but still taking its time. Okay, we get there. You got machine learning studio. So this is like a workspace, it's got events, and I'm noticing this panel coming up a fair bit. Compute assets. It's kind of got an extra layer of abstraction, I suppose. Sign in. Am I being fished right now? Why do I have to re-sign in? I was literally just signed in. All right. Yeah, this is definitely SageMaker. It's good to know there's some competition. You always want competition because it's going to improve it for everyone. Notebooks, we can set up sample notebooks as well. This is like, they're literally taking a leaf out of Amazon's book, and I don't know who did it first. Honestly, it might have been Azure, but this is so similar. One that I thought was cool was the ML Designer. You can build, okay, let's try. Valpal, Wabbit model, wide and deep. Automobile. Image classification I've done before, but let's go really simple right now, and we'll go a regression. I saw a video, well, I actually saw someone doing this live at a talk, and it looked really interesting, so I'm kind of excited. Okay, we start with the price data, we select the columns in the data set, clean the missing data, split the data, do a linear regression, training them up. I like this flow, score it and evaluate. Cool. Has it given us a data set to start with? No. Sample data sets. What's a good one? Weather. Let's keep it simple. Let's go use that data set. Do we have to put it? Now what? And this one I can see why it would lag, so I'm not mad about that. My computer's kind of under a bit of stress at the moment because I'm recording the video and the audio and trying to do all this and that, about 50 browser tabs open while I'm at it. So, but now I can't find where I was. Navigator, click mini map, navigate back. Okay, here we are. No, still gone. That's not good. Zoom out. I'm at 9% zoom. I've lost it. Here I am. That's better. And so I put the weather data set here. We need to bring that, can I drag it? Yeah, I can drag it. No, undo, Control Z, yeah. Bring that up. Okay, so it's actually using the automobile price data. Let's just use that one. We go submit. We need to select a compute target. Do we have any? No, we're going to create a new one. Compute target name. Cannot be AML compute. That's sad. That's exactly what I was going to call it. No, I'm going to call it spicy compute. But you didn't guess that one. Why spicy? I don't know. Just needed a word that was kind of short and that I could apply to everything. It's creating, okay, and we're going to apply. We've got to do a bit of waiting now. Do I publish? Or am I just, because it doesn't seem to be updating here. It says I haven't selected a target. Can't select it because it's not available. Number of is that availability zones? No, max node, okay. They're doing 2 nodes. And it's created. I can select it now, go save, experiment, create a new one. So much as creating new resources. ML experiment, spicy experiment. How could I dare say anything except spicy? Submit, okay. View, run overview. My experience with these things is they take a long time. So I don't really want to be waiting around. Pipeline endpoint, another thing, but I don't want to actually do that. I want to just run it's running the model, and I just want to verify how good the model is, the default. Okay, and it's visualizing it here. I like this. It's kind of visual thing you don't get with SageMaker, although they did have something like that. So was it Sage? I think AutoML may be an Amazon thing. Yeah, but maybe that's not what it was. I haven't used this. I've used plenty of SageMaker, but we do it all with notebooks and there's no visual thing. So this is cool. If they pull it off, and it looks like they have pulled it off pretty well, and if this is being used in real projects, then it's power to them, I think. What other data sets have we got? Not just these. Python model, execute Python script. So what I like about this is you're sort of bringing in pre-baked models with your custom ones, and then you sort of visualize the whole flow. DenseNet, ResNet. Yeah, Microsoft is really leaning into the machine learning world. All right, so it finished. That training job took a while by standards of sitting here waiting for something to happen, but not that long by standards of waiting for a machine learning job. However, I don't really think we can do much with it. Now we can click view the properties. Okay, so this isn't actually the parameters. This is the pipeline parameters, maybe? None. Okay, so it wants us to go now and create an inference pipeline. But I think that's going to take some time as well. So we'll see if that's a feasible thing. No, already done that. We'd have to go deploy. I'm not going to worry too much about this, but it's cool to know that we can do all this and it's all pretty handheld wizardy. So makes it nice and easy. And I quite like this service. What else have we got here? Data sets, experiments. So you can put your own data sets up. I like that. That is good because in Amazon with AWS, you would just upload to S3 and then you need to individually find and reference all of that. I've had problems with that. Experiments. Is that like a model that we're trying to run? Pipelines. Okay, no, models is separate. What's an experiment? I guess it's probably like a broader category that contains the model and endpoints. That's good. It's very similar to SageMaker. Compute, data stores, labeling. Okay, do we have something like ground truth? Okay, so you got the same options, multi-class, multi-label, and bounding box. I wonder if there's a mechanical Turk Azure version. Okay, so there's nothing from Azure. I didn't expect there to be, but there you go. So that's part of the machine learning on AWS is you can get humans to label. Train while you label. Interesting. Don't know how relevant or helpful that would be, but it's interesting at the least. All right, I think I've had a good play around and obviously haven't done a whole lot, but it's been really interesting looking at the console, comparing it to AWS, seeing the features that Azure has that AWS doesn't and vice versa, and the way that things are done is slightly different, but there's so many similarities. I think someone who knew AWS could come along and learn Azure to a good level, or to get things done at least pretty quickly, and vice versa. So it's really one and the same thing. Like I think there's probably more similarities between AWS and Azure than there is between, say, JavaScript and Python. Like there's so much similar between these sets of services, and some of them are almost identical. So it's really it's cool. I'm happy I did this. Would I come back to Azure? For sure, at some point, and I'd happily work with the company that was using it, and now I feel a little bit more confident about it. Obviously, by no means an expert or anywhere near competent with it at this point, but I feel like I could, take on the equivalent of the associate, or maybe even go for the professional exam, given that I've done the AWS Solutions Architect professional exam and have a decent crack at it. So that's good. I also want to have a look at Google Cloud at some point. That's something else that I've barely looked at, and sort of get a feel for all these different platforms and see how they compare to one another. So it's been a fun exercise, and I hope you guys learned something as well. If you've used Azure before, you can see a noob going around comparing it all to AWS, or if you haven't used Azure before and you're like me and you're mainly focused on AWS, then you can sort of see the comparison points and decide whether you want to look at Azure. So yeah, it's been really fun doing this, and hope to make more videos like this in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. Consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Catch you later.